So lifestyle medicine is sort of the all-encompassing name for it. Part of it is talking about graduating patients towards a whole food plant-based diet, but also the other pieces that come into play is our other lifestyle factors which are also important for health, namely getting adequate and restful sleep, stress reduction, having community, right? That's actually been, studies are now showing that loneliness is a risk factor for death, early death. They say sitting is the new smoking, right? So exercise is definitely a part of, so it encompasses all the pieces. It's not so much just focusing on what's on your plate, but I think you have to incorporate some of those other pieces. So there's an all-encompassing term called lifestyle medicine. And there is actually a local clinic that they have started that here in Kona.
Really?
And yeah, and I met the doctor and his wife who's a dietitian, and they're trying to make this work. So kudos to them. I think it's slowly spreading, yeah.
I'm sure you're aware there is this Island Heart Center, and they are actually helping people to eat plant-based diet.
Right, that's part of the Dean Ornish
program.
Yeah. So Dr. Ornish, right, had spent 16 years, and he was actually at that time one of Bill Clinton's personal physicians, and Mr. Clinton was the president, and in spite of that, it took Dr. Ornish 16 years to get Medicare to approve payment for his program.
Wow, but he did. He
did, and so he's absolutely my hero. I can't even imagine, breaking down those barriers, right? Like Medicare or insurance companies are more than happy to fork out $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 for open heart bypass surgery, right? And yet if you say, hey, can you give us like $3,000 a year so that this patient doesn't even need to get to that point, it's like all these, barriers go up because it's such a traditional way of looking. It's like you have disease, you go to the doctor, you get surgery, or you get medicines, you get procedure. We're talking pre-preventive. People say, well, preventative is great. We do colon cancer screening, we do, mammograms, breast cancer screening. But how about the fact that we don't even maybe need to get there? Maybe if we started even prior with some of these lifestyle issues, particularly changing the diet, then, when you go to get your colon cancer screening, you should be very less worried because your chances of having colon cancer is very small.
Exactly. I mean, we would want people to get healthy without have to go through the pain and the grief of sickness.
Exactly.
Has to learn to be healthy.
Absolutely.
So prevention is definitely more important than treatment. And even I understand there are a lot of, I have some personal friends, they have heart attack, they have heart issue, and then afterwards they went to join the heart center and learned about the Dr. Ornish program, which they really like it and they follow it. So it could be a reversal, it could also be a prevention with the plant-based practice.
Right. I think it was actually, I think, Dr. Ornish who published long ago, maybe even 25, 30 years ago, a paper in The Lancet where he actually was able to demonstrate reversal of heart disease. Diabetes is a reversible condition. Patients are shocked to hear that. They think once you have diabetes, you can only manage it. High blood pressure, they think you can only manage it, right?
Good news! More people need to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Diabetes is reversible.
Type 2. Right, so type 1 is different. The whole pathology or pathophysiology is different, but certainly adult onset diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity for sure, certain types of cancer, believe it or not, are reversible, and autoimmune diseases, multiple sclerosis, lupus, some of these heart-wrenching, these are, they affect your quality of life so much, actually are reversible in certain cases. Dementia, depression. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so what, it's all about inflammation, right? And when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, you're reversing the underlying cause, which is the inflammation, and your immune system is boosted, so your body can actually fight off these diseases, and it's a more natural way of doing it. There are no side effects to eating your broccoli or your your kale or your spinach, versus if you're on medications, almost every drug has a side effect.
Right.
And you just lead a more healthy, vibrant life. It's not just about plodding along day by day. It's actually getting that enjoyment out of life. You're like, yay, I'm alive.
Absolutely. Who don't want to be vibrant like a young kid anymore?
Absolutely.
I understand you also has a lot of communication or networking with other organizations on the island that are practicing plant-based healthcare practice, like I think the department in Kaiser Permanente.
That's right. So Vivian, who is a dietitian at Kaiser Permanente, actually I met her at one of the plant-based conferences, and she was so supportive and really helped me make that move here, like giving me ideas and other information. But she does run some classes at Kaiser, talking about whole food plant-based diet. I worked for an organization very similar to Kaiser when I was on the mainland, and Kaiser on the mainland actually has lifestyle medicine clinics, small ones in Oregon and California.
Ooh.
They're hoping to start one in Washington. But the reality of it is, I tell people, they're always evidence-based. If you need proof, because there are so many fad diets out there now, the keto and the paleo and the carnivore diet and the Whole30, and the list goes on and on and on. And the old Atkins, they just take it, they kind of dust it out, give it a new name, and it's back now as a keto diet. And sure, in the short term, you are going to see changes in your body with some of these diets. You will see some weight loss, you will see an improvement in your numbers, like your cholesterol, or decrease in your blood pressure, or your diabetes numbers might look better. But no studies have been done to show that in the long run these are healthful diets as much as a plant-based diet. So that's something to remember when you hear, because I hear this a lot, but doc, my neighbor said, they did this and they dropped 60 pounds, or they did that. And one of the doctors in the plant-based movement likes to say, well, people like to hear what's bad is good for them. So I would say don't fall into that trap. Do your own research, right? Go look at the evidence and the data out there, and you will be surprised. And the other thing I tell people, do it for 21 days, do it for a month, right? And see how you feel. You be your own, guinea pig, if you will, which is what I did. I said, I'm not going to believe anything that's out there. I'm going to try it on my own and see how I feel. And the results will convince you, right? Once you feel it, you're like, I am never going back to that old way of eating.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
You don't need to believe anybody. Don't believe your doctors, or don't believe what they're told. Try it for yourself, and you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to see some amazing results.
If, let's say, you have a patient or someone passionate about want to make that change, that comes to you, how should I practice plant-based in my diet? What should I eat in the morning, lunch, and dinner? What is my weekly menu weekly plan for my food plan?
Mm-hmm.
How do I go grocery shopping? What would you share with them about?
Do we have about 3 hours? I'm just kidding. So, certainly there have been patients who have expressed interest in trying this out. And I think the one thing that's important is to meet them where they're at. We're all so different as human beings. I went cold turkey. It was pretty easy for me because I was not a big meat eater anyway to begin with. So for me, it was very simple to just go from eating whatever to just going all the way out. But some people might be hesitant to do that, and that's okay. And I say, you know what, take it one step at a time. Maybe do a meatless Monday, and then maybe you do, I'm going to do one meal every, other day that's going to be plant-based, or ease yourself into it. Some people are, it's like smokers. I've had patients slowly wean themselves off, and I've had patients who just went cold turkey, right? So you have to know yourself. The most important thing I would say is trying to get your patient to express why it is important they want to do this, because there will be temptations galore to go back the old ways. You go out with your friends and they're having a beer and pizza, and you're sitting there going, I gotta eat a salad. Temptation is there. We're human. So I think you need to always remember why you are doing it. And for me, part of it was, I want to do this for my children. I want to be around, for a long time, hopefully, and see them, have families, have grandchildren. So you need to know what's in it for you. I think that's important to get your patients to express that. And then there's, we live in the world of the internet. I mean, there is so much information out there. It's almost mind-boggling. And there are people who will offer meal plans. There are people who actually will deliver ready-made meals to you. But if you want to do this on your own, I think a few simple tips is, the first thing is clean out your pantry. Look at what's in there, right?
Clean our pantry.
Right, and say, oh, oil, okay, I'm not going to be using oil, let's get rid of it, right? Processed foods, let's get rid of it. Anything that comes in a package and looks like food but is really not a natural food substance, you probably should let it go. Your potato chips, your that sort of thing you want to eliminate. So when you make your kitchen conducive and ideal to eating the way you want to eat, you will eat better right away. That's what I found. So it's important to do that. And then when you go shopping, one of the simple tricks is shop the peripheries. Don't shop the aisles yet. So you go to the peripheries, you pick up your produce, you pick up your non-dairy milk, your nut milks like almond or whatever, soy milk. And then you go to the bulk section and pick up your rice, your beans, your lentils, your legumes, right? So you're avoiding all your packaged foods, processed foods. And so when you go shopping, well, one thing, never go shopping hungry. Because I've done that. If I go hungry, I'm probably going to pick up a bag of popcorn or something, right? So never go shopping hungry is number one rule. But when you go shopping, hit the peripheries. Yeah. So
what would be, if someone want to go cold turkey straight into plant-based, no problem, good discipline. What would be a good example to start with early in the morning and for lunch and dinner?
Sure. So, keep it simple. That's what I tell people. People, when they get into it's like, oh, I'm going to try this breakfast or that breakfast. I keep it very simple. I start with oatmeal, rolled oats. I always remember the previous night, and sometimes what I'll do, if you can get like little mason jars, maybe 5 for your Monday through Friday, take Sunday night, right? Stack all of them up with your rolled oats. I'll add some chia seeds in there, some flaxseed meal, because those are good sources of omega-3 fat. And then I'll usually pour my milk. I love macadamia nut milk, which is available in Costco. I love it, but it's a little pricey, so you can go with soy or almond or rice or oat milk or hemp milk. I mean, there's so many different kinds of non-dairy. So I prep my 5 days of breakfast.
Oh, you could do that?
Sunday night. Yeah, so prep is important. So if you're going to do this,
so
a
you
little bit of
pour in
discipline.
all those jars,
Yeah,
make
so
your
mason
5-day
jars.
breakfast.
Yep. And then you can, I'll put in like some frozen berries on the top. I might throw some other things like cacao nibs or goji berries, just throw in some other, stuff in there. And then in the morning, I might take and slice up a banana or papaya or mango season, I throw in more fruits because, fruits just delicious. And eat the rainbow. That's the other thing to remember. So people kind of get very stuck into, oh, how much carb should I eat? And how much protein should I eat? And how much fat? don't worry about it. As long as you're eating a variety, you're going to get all your nutrients with food. You're not going to need almost any supplements except for one or two, which I'll talk about. So prep your breakfast. I like to do tofu scramble. You can do it like scrambled egg and put it on toast. It's delicious. You can do avocados on toast. And the Big Island has how many varieties of avocados? It's delicious. Or I would just make guacamole and toast a couple of slices of bread. So it's mostly that. That's what we eat for breakfast. Keep it simple. If you need to have granola that doesn't have sugar in it, that's fine. As long as it's whole, more whole food based, that's where you want to focus. The other thing for lunch and dinner, start with a big salad. Salad is so good for you. The green leafy vegetables, your kale, your spinach, your chard, has phytonutrients in it. It releases nitrous oxide in your bloodstream, which opens up your blood vessels, makes your blood vessels sing with joy.
Wow.
That's what I tell people, and I'll usually, chop up some carrots or cucumber or, whatever veggies are available. Maybe throw a handful of garbanzo beans on it, open up a can. If you don't have time, maybe some black beans, because beans are another great source of protein and they're so good for you. Great source of fiber. So I try to also prep maybe at least 3 days worth of salad on Sunday. So I buy the big box of my spring greens or spinach or whatever. I've prepped it, so I'm ready to go. It's not like a day to day thing. Spend one day, batching, prepping. I might make one or two soup or stew or something on Sunday. So I'll have, I made potato corn chowder the other day. So I have enough for 3 days of lunch. So usually it's soup, salad. Of course, we eat a lot of Indian food too. So usually, dinners, usually it's light, but I will try to start with a small salad because you really should be eating 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, right? So the way to do that. Some people like to eat savory breakfast in the morning. Nobody says you can't have your vegetarian chili bean stew for breakfast. Why not? There's no hard and fast rules about it. So you can do a lot of variety, but when you're starting, you might want to start simple, and then you can play with the recipes.
What about dinner?
Dinner, I tend to eat light. So usually maybe just like I said, a small salad and maybe a little soup, or maybe some rice with dal, or curry. With some vegetables on the side, just something simple like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow. Actually, could we envision if we get more people joining this way of life is plant-based practice as our natural way of input in our body? Mm-hmm. How would a community be like, and how would the world be like?
Oh man, we would change the world.
We would change.
So one of the things that has been a source of frustration as a physician is watching our healthcare costs in this country just skyrocket, right? Absolutely. $3.5 trillion is what we spent on healthcare just last year alone.
Wow.
We are the highest spending nation in the world.
Wow.
And so you're like, okay, we're a rich country, we can spend it, so our outcomes should be fantastic, right? Not so. Not so. We are spending a lot, but we are one of the sickest countries in the world, right? Our rates of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, strokes, etc., cancer is nowhere in the lower bracket. And so that's a source of frustration, because as doctors, we don't just want to treat ill people, we want to keep people healthy. And I think you could totally bend the cost curve down if more and more people would just change what they put on their plate. It is so powerful. It seems so simple. You're thinking, yes. What? Just diet? It's going to make a huge difference? Absolutely, it will. Absolutely, it will. We're going to probably need less doctors and less hospitals.
That's a good news.
I might be talking myself out of a job here.
It's okay. That's okay.
Right, because we're always people are going to get illnesses regardless, right? That's as human beings, and so there's always going to be plenty business for people. But I think we would see a healthier nation, we would see a healthier world. Let's not forget the impact on our environment. There's all this talk about global warming, and there's some real concern that we might be looking at the end of the world as we know it coming. I mean, we can't hide from these truths. And unfortunately, things like dairy farming is extremely bad for our environment. The amount of grains that is grown and the amount of resources that are put into that just to feed the animals, which then can be slaughtered to feed us, is an extremely inefficient way of feeding the world population.
That's true.
And if you just took that and just grew plants and fed populations directly, it's going to make such a huge change in environment. I mean, the greenhouse gases, the emission is not so much even cars and trucks and what we drive. It is the emissions from animal farming. So that is a serious concern just as a citizen of the world, and hoping to leave a world that our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren can live in. We should care about our future generations,
Absolutely. Yes.
So healthcare costs, environment for sure, and just people being more healthier and happier, can be more productive. You would see rates of disability go down, right? You would see more people being able to actually work and provide for their family and have a sense of pride and community, a sense of purpose in life. I see that, unfortunately, a lot of my patients who are on disability, they feel like they're not, they don't even want to live. They're like, I have no purpose in life. They don't really want to be like that. So I just think that this is the panacea of many evils, if not all evils. Yeah, it would be life-changing.